1960s, Angus Wynn, who founded Six Flags Over Texas, had huge success with that park, so he immediately began looking to expand his business and construct a second park. Wynn and his development team purchased 3,000 acres of land 26 miles west of Atlanta, Georgia, in a town called Austell. The land chosen was the former home to the Muskogee Native American Indian tribe, and their burial grounds were still on site when they were just destroyed to construct the park. So, a really up and disturbing fact: Six Flags Over Georgia is built on a Native American Indian burial ground. Holy, that's kinda up. Randall Duell and Hans Peter were hired to develop and design the park. With Six Flags Over Texas in mind, it was designed in a similar fashion. The original areas of the park representing the Six Flags were the Spanish area, the British area, the French area, the United States of America, the Confederate States of America, and of course Georgia. The park opened to the general public on June 16th, 1967, making Six Flags the first multi-gate theme park company in the United States. Go f***ing figure, right? Some of the opening day attractions included the Log Jamboree, a classic log flume, Jean Rabolt's Adventure, a poor man's jungle cruise, Six Flags Railroad, self-explanatory, Tales of Okefenokee, a dark ride telling the tale of animals in the Okefenokee swamp, the Casa Loco, a classic tilt house, the Astro Skylift, transporting guests from the north to south end of the park, the Dahlonega Mine Train, one of those classic aero mine trains, I love those, and of course some live entertainment sprinkled throughout the park. The first year was a huge success, so it was only logical for the following year, 1968, to add another section of the park, and we saw the debut of the Lick Skillet section. Bad name. That year we also saw a handful of new attractions added to the park. We saw a second track added to the Log Jamboree, the Horror Cave, a haunted house walkthrough attraction, the infamous Sky Buckets, another sky ride, but this one taking guests east and west end of the park, the Spindle Top, a classic rotor ride, and the Wheelbarrow, a very bizarre pendulum slash Ferris wheel kind of attraction. Very unique looking. 1969 saw the addition of the Mini Mine Train, a kid's version of the Dahlonega Mine Train, actually crisscrossing tracks too, kind of cool idea. And we also saw the addition of the Skyhook, a huge bizarre observation kind of thing coming over from Six Flags Over Texas. It looks kind of creepy to me. 1970 we saw the addition of Casa Magnetica, which was just Casa Loco Volume 2, and the removal of the Wheelbarrow attraction, not surprised. We also saw the first intellectual property injected into the park, H.R. Pufnstuf, a popular, funny name, a popular kids puppet show of the 1970s. 1972 saw the addition of the Riverview Carousel, an absolutely beautiful attraction coming over from Riverview Park in Chicago, Illinois, which was recently defunct at the time. 1973 saw the second expansion to the park, as the Cotton State Exposition was added, all the way in the back, and coming with it, the Great American Scream Machine, a classic out-and-back Woody, being manufactured from PTC, who were putting out some great rides at the time. After a 3-year gap of anything significant being added to the park, 1976 saw the Great Gasp, a 225-foot tall para-tower monster manufactured by Intamin. 1977 saw the addition of the Wheelie, coming from my f***ing guy, Anton Schwarzkopf, in one of his Enterprise models. That year also saw the removal of the Skyhook, and due to f***ing safety concerns, just visually speaking, probably a good idea. 1978 saw that little piece of legendary come to the park, and we're talking about Anton Schwarzkopf's Mindbender, an absolute classic looping roller coaster using the terrain around it and often regarded as one of Anton's best creations. 1979 we saw the Spindle Top bite the dust. 1980 saw the west end of the park get an expansion, and we're talking about Jolly Roger's Island. 1981 we saw a pair of removals and a refurb, as the Astrolift and Jean Rabolt's Adventure bit the dust, and the Tales of the Okefenokee Dark Ride got a complete rehash and renamed the Monster Plantation. And that has gone on to become a legendary dark ride within the theme park community, and is considered a hidden gem at Six Flags Over Georgia. 1982 saw a little bit of a corporate shakeup, as Penn Central, who owned all of the Six Flags properties at the time, sold everything to Bally Manufacturing. Eesh. That was also the debut year of Thunder River in the park, an Intamin River Rapids attraction. The following year saw the removal of Casa Magnetica, but the addition of Freefall, a first-generation Intamin drop tower, a ride Bally was just jamming into all the parks at the time. In 1984, the park received the Great Six Flags Air Racer, an Intamin swing tower attraction, kind of a precursor to like the Windseeker and Skyscreamer, only on a much smaller scale. That year also saw Six Flags purchase Great America from Marriott's in Gurnee, Illinois, and with that bringing the Looney Tunes characters that can now be incorporated into all the Six Flags parks. 1985 saw the removal of the Horror Cave, but the addition of the Looping Starship. But Six Flags decided to do a ride rotation program at that time, so by the end of that year, the Looping Starship was sent to packing. 1986 saw the addition of Splash Waterfalls, a standard shoot-the-chutes attraction. 1987 saw some agitation in the suits, as Bally Manufacturing said, "What the f*** are we doing with theme parks?" And they sold all the Six Flags properties to West Ray Capital Corporation. That same year was the debut year of Fright Fest in the park. Six Flags' annual Halloween festival that has become a staple across all of the Six Flags parks. Because of the ride rotation program again, 1988 saw Z-Force come on over from Six Flags Great America, an intimate space diver model. That ride was so f***ing bad, there was only one of them ever built. 1989 saw the park receive its second installation of an intimate looping starship. This one actually stuck around for a while. 1990 saw the park receive another roller coaster, the Georgia Cyclone. Manufactured by DIN, is a wooden roller coaster based off of the Coney Island Cyclone. Now, if it wasn't manufactured by DIN, it might have been pretty good, but they built pretty big pieces of 1991 saw the removal of the older track to the Log Jamboree, reducing it back to just one track, and also the removal of Z-Force, again a part of the ride rotation program, this time going to Six Flags Magic Mountain where it operated as Flashback. It was also around this time where Looney Tunes Land debuted into the park. We're just kind of morphed into one with the Spanish section. 1992 saw the debut of Ninja in the park, a Vekoma MK1200 custom looper being relocated from Dinosaur Beach in Wildwood, New Jersey, where it operated as Kamikaze. Being built right over a small pond, visually it's quite a beautiful roller coaster. It was also that year that Time Warner gained financial control over all the Six Flags parks, which opened a floodgate of finances to be invested across all the Six Flags properties. 1994 saw the Looney Tunes Land area renamed Bugs Bunny World. 1995 saw the addition of Viper, a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop model coming over again from Six Flags Great America, where it operated as Tidal Wave. 2 years later, in 1997, we saw the removal of the Freefall. And we also saw Jolly Roger's Island get rethemed to Gotham City, with that ushering in Batman the Ride, a B&M invert coaster. They're fantastic models, they're at every Six Flags park, and this was just another clone, but again, fun rides. 1998 saw yet again another corporate mashup, where we saw Premier Parks purchase all of the Six Flags properties from Time Warner for $1.8 billion. Their first order of business was to redo the main gate area of the park, and it is now known as the Promenade. 1999 saw the Georgia Scorcher come to the park, the very last B&M stand-up ever built. So by that time, B&M knew what they were doing. So, Six Flags Over Georgia locals, you guys should be proud. You have one of the few good stand-up roller coasters. The new millennium saw the removal of the Great Six Flags Air Racer. The following year saw the removal of Viper. But we got the addition of two new attractions in 2001. Acrophobia, an Intamin tilting floorless drop tower, a very unique version of your standard Intamin drop tower. Pretty cool. And also the addition of a Vekoma giant inverted boomerang known as Deja Vu. What a f***ing joke of a ride. Vekoma really sucked at that time, and they were making some really bad attractions that were just unreliable. They had good ideas, but most of their rides really sucked. 2002, we saw Superman the Ultimate Flight come to the park, the first B&M flying coaster in North America, and only the second one ever built. They're a very unique ride experience. Some people bash the flying coaster. I dig it. 2004 saw the removal of the Great Gasp, kinda sad as those were rapidly disappearing at the time, but the addition of a new kids coaster and Wile E. Coyote Canyon Blaster. 2005 saw the removal of Looping Starship, and this time for good. 2006 saw a 175-foot tall B&M hypercoaster, Goliath, added to the park. A very cool ride, unique hypercoaster also, as it actually leaves the main gates of the park and comes back in after a little roundabout. Very cool stuff. 2007 saw that piece of Deja Vu hit the road. It was dismantled and sold to Mirabolandia in Brazil, where they were going to rebuild it and rename it Sky Mountain. But they haven't done that yet, and it's actually been in storage since 2009. Jeez. 2008, we saw the addition of a new kids area as Thomastown was added to the park. And we also saw 2 renames, as Monster Plantation was renamed Monster Mansion, and the Confederate States area of the park was renamed Peachtree Square. 2009 saw the company Six Flags, who was f***ing everything up for a while at that time frame, file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, because they bought so many properties, and they didn't have enough money to run them all. But they did successfully emerge from the Chapter 11 the following year. 2011 saw the kids area Thomastown get renamed to Whistle Stop Park. And we also got the addition of a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, custom made, the Daredevil Dive. Standing 95 feet tall, it's a low capacity for such a large corporate park like this, but it's still a really quality fun ride. 2012 saw the removal of the wheelie, and the following year we got the addition of the Sky Screamer, a 243 foot tall, fun time giant chair swing. Those things are pretty intense. 2014 saw the addition of Hurricane Harbor, a standard Six Flags water park, but a perfect addition for here, given that f***ing surface of the sun feel that the Georgia summer can bring. Also that same year we had the addition of Holiday in the Park, a Christmas time celebration extending the park's operating season through the end of the year. 2015 saw the Joker Chaos Coaster come to the park, one of those f***ing waste of space rides known as the Larson Looper. In that same year saw the Wile E. Coyote Canyon Blaster get renamed the Joker Funhouse Coaster. 2016 saw Bugs Bunny World get split into 2. Half of it was renamed Bugs Bunny Boomtown, and the other half was now referred to as DC Super Friends. That same year saw the Ninja get a retheme and a brand new slick paint job, and is now referred to as Blue Hawk. 2017 saw the Cotton States Exposition area also get split into 2, and these 2 were rethemed and renamed Carousel Hill and Metropolis. Also that year we got the addition of Justice League, one of my personal favorite indoor dark shooters that I've been on, made by the beautiful people from Sally Corp. And also Georgia Cyclone closed up that year. But what was to happen to it? Well, of course it was to get that awesome RMC treatment and reopen the following year as Twisted Cyclone, and is now easily one of the best rides in the park. That same year saw the French area get rethemed to the Piedmont area, and the British section get rethemed to the coastal area, and also the removal of Splash Waterfalls. 2019 saw the Scream Punk area added to the park, coming from a portion of the Lick Skillet area. And also we got Pandemonium, a giant Zamperla discovery. Beautiful attractions, a lot of fun. And by the end of the year, the Mindbender closed for a planned refurbishment. 2020 we saw the removal of the Sky Buckets, which was a questionable decision, and also the addition of the Catwoman Whip, a second generation enterprise also made from Zamperla. After a lengthy refurb, 2021 saw Mindbender reopen, with a nice new paint job, new trains, and a new name, now known as the Riddler Mindbender. Six Flags Over Georgia has a nice collection of coasters, good collection of flat rides, solid family rides, and in that warm southern United States climate gets to stay open longer than most, and one of only 3 Six Flags parks built from the ground up, by Six Flags themselves. Six Flags Over Georgia. You can't deny its place in history.